Good evening. I'm Kelly Wright, and welcome to the Kelly Wright Show, where we seek to give you the illuminated truth. And coming up on today's program, we have an exclusive interview with billionaire Democratic presidential candidate Tom Steyer, who is still campaigning to earn the nomination. Dr. Benjamin Chavis will have that report from Las Vegas, Nevada. In that interview, Steyer will talk to us about why he's staying in the race so far and explain his views on why the black vote is important, and you will be amazed at what he has to say about reparations. That plus your day's headlines are coming up in just a moment, but first, my opening observations about the importance of the black vote and why it should matter to you today and why it matters so much to your grandparents and your forefathers who fought so hard and even died for your right to vote. So let me explain this in a little bit more detail and depth. The United States Library of Congress explains when the Reconstruction era ended in 1877, Southern states began implementing new laws to restrict or suppress the voting rights of African Americans. Onerous methods like paying poll taxes and passing literacy or civic exams. Plus, blacks lost their jobs for voting, and some who attempted to vote were often threatened physically or worse, lost their lives. The Civil Rights Movement was created to help African Americans gain political power and equality. They did so by conducting voter registration drives, driving voters to the polls, teaching literacy classes, and encouraging blacks to even run as candidates. And so our vote should be precious and should never be treated casually. We cannot afford to be apathetic. We must be vigilant in getting out the vote because, like all Americans, it is part of our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So voting is fundamental in terms of living the American dream. And that's my observation. And now, here are your headlines. The Trump administration is in turmoil as another high-level member of the government steps down. Intelligence officials are warning that Russia may be interfering in the election again. The news reportedly angered President Trump so much that he forced out a high-level intelligence officer. The Trump administration has had the highest number of turnovers in the past 50 years. The Democratic candidates are making their final dash through Nevada to find voters ahead of Saturday's caucus. Nevada will hold their caucus this Saturday at 250 locations across the state. This year was the first time the state held an early voting period. New cases of the coronavirus have popped up here in the United States. 11 evacuees from the quarantined Diamond Princess cruise ship tested positive for coronavirus. They are now quarantined at Travis Air Force Base in California. Baby Yoda will be in a store near you soon. Due to the success of the Star Wars franchise and high demand from fans, you will be able to pick up Baby Yoda toys starting next month. And we'll be right back in a moment with a look at the political campaign with Doug Thornell. That's next. The primary season is dominating the headlines, and everyone sees quick snippets about this or that, but what's really resonating with voters? Democratic strategist Doug Thornell is here to tell us all about it. Doug, welcome to the Kelly Wright Show.
Great to be with you, Kelly.
Man, it's an honor to have you, especially as we look at this campaign and how it's heating up with the Nevada caucus happening Saturday, tomorrow. What are you anticipating?
Well, and we had a fiery debate a couple nights ago. It looked like a street fight between everyone on the stage. And I don't know if it was great for the Democratic Party, but what we're seeing in Nevada is very strong turnout with the early vote, which is really good for the Democrats. I think there was some question about enthusiasm coming out of Iowa. And then New Hampshire, you saw really strong turnout. And now we're seeing early vote turnout in Nevada. That's really good. Hopefully we'll see a record-breaking turnout on Saturday. And right now, look, I think it is Senator Sanders' caucus to lose, but based off of that primary, or based off the debate, which had about 17, 18 million viewers, the biggest debate that we've had.
I think it was closer to like 19 million.
Yeah, it was the largest, it had the largest viewing audience of any debate this season. Does that help someone like Elizabeth Warren, who is viewed as being very strong in that debate? Does that help someone like Joe Biden because Bloomberg didn't do particularly well? It remains to be seen. I think I think the battle is for number 2 right now, and whoever gets number 2, I think they're going to try to use that as a slingshot into South Carolina.
Well, looking back on the debate, it would appear that Donald Trump won the debate.
I think that's probably right. I mean, it was a messy debate. You had some side fights going on between Mayor Pete and Amy Klobuchar that weren't really around any issues that voters care about. And it was a real big, obviously a big pile-on Mayor Bloomberg. And, at the end of the day, I'm not sure what a voter who is, not necessarily following this every single day is supposed to take away from the debate and what Democrats are offering in terms of their vision. These candidates do a much better job, have been doing a much better job on the stump and on the trail offering that vision. I think that debate was not a great example of it.
We did not see that. And we did not see Tom Steyer, another candidate who is in Nevada campaigning. I understand you talked to his campaign manager a couple of days ago. Coming up right after our segment, we have Dr. Benjamin Chavis of the National Newspapers Publishers Association, as well as the Black Press USA. He had an exclusive interview with him. Tom Steyer is saying he will stay in this campaign. Many people are predicting that he will be gone after South Carolina. What say you?
Well, South Carolina, he has to do well. I think he has to win. And he's invested a lot of resources in South Carolina, a lot of money on TV, a lot of money on the ground. I think he has spent over $250 million. And so they're putting a lot of emphasis on South Carolina, and he's actually doing very well in South Carolina. If you look at some of the polls, there hasn't been a lot of polls recently, but he is in second, third place. So I think in order for him to have momentum going into Super Tuesday, where he has also invested resources, he's got to win South Carolina. Otherwise, I'm not entirely sure what his argument is to continue.
At the top of the show, I was talking about the importance of the black vote and why voting should matter to black voters. Explain for me, if you will, Doug, from your vantage point, as you look at the landscape politically, how important is the black vote, since so many candidates are courting blacks as well as the President of the United States, and why should it matter to blacks this pivotal season?
It's a great question. It's the most important group of voters in the Democratic Party. And if you're going to win the Democratic nomination, you're going to have to get at least a plurality of the black vote. You look at South Carolina, 2/3 of the electorate is going to be African American. A significant number of African American women will determine who that nominee is. I think that of all the voters out there, we talk about suburban women, white collar, blue collar men, blue collar white. I think it's African American women who are going to be critical to Democrat success in 2020. We saw how important they were in Alabama when Doug Jones won that special election. They were the deciding factor there. So, and then remember that, there haven't been many delegates that have been allocated so far. I mean, if 1,500 delegates are going to be allocated on Super Tuesday in states like Alabama and Virginia and Texas, places that do have very diverse electorates. And so if you, and all of these candidates, in order to get delegates, they've got to get a 15%, they have to meet that 15% threshold. And so if you're a Joe Biden who has based their campaign on African American voters, it's critical to your success. And not to mention the general election. We've got to do, as a party, much better of motivating and turning out black voters in the general election, much better than we did in 2016. That's in part why we didn't win Michigan, we didn't win Wisconsin, and we didn't win Pennsylvania.
Doug Thornell, Democratic strategist, always welcome on the Kelly Wright Show.
Thanks, Kelly. It was
great.
So much. Great to see you.
Good to have you. All right. Thank you so much. Coming back with a lot more, especially that exclusive interview with Dr. Benjamin Chavis and Tom Steyer, as we just talked about. Back in a moment. Welcome back. Dr. Benjamin Chavis went to Las Vegas, Nevada to get a feel on the ground about what voters are looking for in a candidate. While he was there, Dr. Chavis landed an exclusive interview with Tom Steyer, who is still in the race even though he didn't qualify for the latest debate.
Tom, today there are more than 50 million African Americans who live across the nation. If you are elected president, what is your vision for the future of America with specific reference to the challenges and opportunities for Black America to make more advances in this economy. I notice your theme is the economy. How can Black people be more effective, more efficient, and more profitable in this economy?
Well, Dr. Chavis, let me say this. There is no policy area in America that I don't think has a substantial, often unmentioned, but important aspect about race. So when you talk to me about housing or criminal justice or wages or education or climate, I think it's absolutely unrealistic to talk about it without bringing up the racial aspect of it, and specifically with regards to the Black community. So let me, before we start, and one thing you should know, and I don't know if you know it, is that my wife and I started a bank 15 years ago, long before I ever thought about running for anything, basically dedicated to economic justice, environmental sustainability, and supporting businesses owned by Black people, Latinos, and women, because the financial services industry is so prejudiced and discriminatory and won't support those people and the businesses and let them actually build the kind of wealth or get the kind of mortgages that allow families to grow their wealth. Great. So it's not something that I've just discovered and I'm talking about because I'm running for president. That bank started with zero. It's a nonprofit, totally mission-driven bank, and it's over $1 billion now. We measure every single loan for its impact on the community. Does it create jobs in the communities? Does it support a Black-owned business? We've supported over 8,500 affordable housing units in the last 3 years. Because what we're trying to do is, if they redline it, then we go right there and try and figure out how to support the community and bring money so that people can live better. So having said that, I view Mr. Trump's claims about the economy as a pack of lies. That basically he's created the Mar-a-Lago economy, good for the members of the Mar-a-Lago Country Club. What I'm talking about doing is, first of all, I'd go after wages. I think we need a living wage. There's been an attack on working people in this country. It's especially, and so $7.25 is a minimum wage. No one can live on that. That's an insult to working people. I've been pushing for $15 minimum wage since 2012, and I don't really think it's high enough. I'm talking about a 10% tax cut for anybody in this country who makes less than $250,000 bucks. We can easily pay for it if we actually start charging rich people and big corporations their fair share. And I'm talking about creating more than 4.5 million good-paying union jobs to rebuild this country in a climate-smart way. And the last thing I want to say directly about this is this. We're in Las Vegas. And the last time I was here, I was speaking to a group of people, and in the front row was a 75-year-old African-American gentleman. And he said to me, "Tom, are you aware that we've just built Raiders Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada, and 1% of the contracts went to Black-owned firms?" And I said, let me explain something to you. People don't like quota systems, but there is a quota system. It's 99%. That is absolutely wrong, because I'm in favor of a living wage. I'm in favor of pushing up minimum wages. I'm in favor of a progressive tax scheme. But more than that, I'm in favor of supporting new people in charge of the economy, of letting Black people own and control businesses, of actually letting Black people get their fair share of wealth generation and of wealth. And that's a whole different thing, and that's really what the bank is about, is letting people into the housing market, letting people into the entrepreneurial market, supporting people, including specifically the Black people who've been redlined and shut out.
We'll be back with more of Dr. Chavis's interview when we return. And now, here's more of Dr. Chavis's exclusive interview with Tom Steyer.
How important is the Black vote?
Of paramount importance. And let me say this. I know that there are a lot of Black people in the Democratic Party, so I know that substantively those are big numbers. But I think that the impact of African American votes, to me, is symbolically much more important than that. Because one of the things that I've been saying this whole campaign, and I've been saying for years beforehand, is the African American community has been the moral leadership in the United States of America for the whole country. Not just for years or decades, but for generations and for centuries. And so to me, having African American support, it's certainly important in terms of numbers, but it has ramifications beyond the numbers. I've been saying for a long time, Dr. Chavis, that I believe the African American community will choose the next president of the United States, and that that's appropriate. And I believe if I have African American support, I can walk into an all-white room anywhere in this country and have a moral authority and a credibility completely based on that support that's entirely different. And I think that will be true when I'm talking to Democrats, independents, or Republicans. Because I truly believe it's not long before Dr. King and subsequent to Dr. King's assassination, there has been moral leadership coming from the African American community that resonates throughout this country. It's one of the reasons, I know we're going to get to it, that I'm for reparations. I think it's really important that moral leadership be recognized and called out, because I think it's been so important for America for literally centuries.
Well, since you mentioned reparations, let's follow that. It's connected to the economic question I asked you in the beginning. It's not that we don't want to participate in the economy. It's just that a lot of restrictions and rules have denied us access to fully participate in the economy. Speak on your perspective of the importance of reparations. If you're president of the United States, most presidents don't talk about reparations.
None that I know of. No one. I'm the only person who'll talk about it who's running for president, for goodness sakes.
Okay, so I'm going to give you this opportunity. Speak to Black America about your concept, your commitment to reparations for people of African descent.
Yes. I don't think there's any question. And I say to people, did something terrible not happen? Or wasn't it terrible? Or should we not talk? Are we too so scared about it we won't talk about it? And we're not going to try and deliver justice for it? I mean, one of the things that's true is when I went to Berlin, Germany, which I probably did for the first time 3 or 4 years ago, there's a big square that looks like the mall in Washington, D.C., and it's got the Congress and the President's house, and there's not 2 blocks away is a memorial to the victims of the Holocaust. My question in the United States is, where's the apology? Where's the truth telling about what happened? Where's the apology from the nation for what happened to African Americans? And so what I'm saying is this: I'd have a formal commission on race starting the first day of my presidency, because I really believe that policy comes out of narrative. I would want it to be solution-oriented, specifically with the idea of reparations. But start with the story, not just of centuries of injustice and discrimination and cruelty legally in the Constitution, but also of contribution, which I was saying earlier, who built America and the moral leadership that the African American community has provided literally for centuries. And the reason to do that is to tell the story so that you understand how we got here. Black people don't have fewer homes that they own because they did something wrong. They were redlined specifically by banks and prevented from getting mortgages and buying homes. That there has been legalized, systematic discrimination and injustice that has to be repaired for. Yes. Something bad has happened. If we're too scared to talk about it, then we're too scared to solve it.
My thanks to Dr. Benjamin Chavis, a friend of the Kelly Wright Show, for bringing us that exclusive interview with Tom Steyer. Stay with us. We'll talk about ways to help small businesses get paid faster. That's next. All right, all of you business owners and entrepreneurs trying to look for ways to get those government contracts and enhance your business, look no further, because Roscoe Grant and Fred Hill are the co-founders of Small Business Protection 24/7. They focus on the plight of small business owners to make sure that small businesses are utilized and not treated unfairly. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
How important is it to receive the kind of advice of your years of expertise to actually enhance one's business? Fred, Roscoe, either one.
Well, it's very important, one, to educate yourself on what is the right way to do business. Most oftentimes it's in the contract language that leaves you wide open for non-payment or payment on time. And having a knowledge of the system and how it should work and good counselors around you make a big difference.
So is this why you started this business, to consult other businesses trying to gain that foothold on the American dream?
Well, you know, one of the reasons why we formed Small Business Protection, we wanted to be an uncompromised voice on behalf of small businesses. A lot of times, people don't help small businesses because of different things that they're involved in. They may be getting a contract from a government agency and they can't come out and speak when that government agency may be doing something wrong that impacts that small business. And so they cannot be a voice.
So it's really, it isn't like a minefield, but you can land on some mines when you're trying to build your business.
It could be a minefield because there's a lot of regulations that's put in place that that's not for the local small businesses.
Okay, so let's say I'm a contractor and I'm doing business with the government and I want to get paid in a timely fashion, as you were talking about earlier, Fred. And sometimes the government contracts can go on for a long time and you're waiting to get paid. You've got a payroll to meet, you've got mouths to feed and babies to help grow. How are you getting to that timeline of having that payment come in quickly and timely?
Well, quickly is one thing. But
we are talking about government.
But quite honestly, what happens most often the time, as I mentioned earlier, the schedule of payments should be discussed before a project starts. And as I've learned, I've been in this business 16 years now. Without having that in place, we probably would have been knocked out a long time ago.
Because you don't have that capital coming in to help drive your profits or drive just operate your business, right?
Right.
And having agreeable terms by the prime contractors or government agencies that you work for, not in your contract, leaves you wide open.
Right.
Roscoe, many minority businesses face so many uphill battles. What's your advice out there to young entrepreneurs, and for that matter even older entrepreneurs who are trying to launch a business and they happen to be a minority contractor, a minority small business owner?
Well, you know, they have a lot of programs throughout the United States that support local small businesses. Like in the District of Columbia, for an example, they have a certified business program that's supposed to give small businesses a leg up, you know, in terms of starting their business. And that program is designed to help local small businesses, particularly minority businesses, to get contracts. That doesn't always happen, you know, for various reasons.
And we need this.
Absolutely.
We need to grow. We need to help implement the kinds of knowledge and the kind of income and capital to help our businesses grow, because it bodes well not only for the African American community, minority community, but all of Americans. Everyone.
And the thing about it, you know, when you have local small businesses, no matter whether it's in Washington, D.C. or Baltimore, they hire local residents. They train local residents. They pay taxes to the municipalities that their businesses are in. So it's just a win-win situation if it works right for everybody.
You guys give great advice. How can we reach you? How can people contact you?
You can reach us by www.sbp-247.com, or you can email us at info.sbp247.com.
We'll be sure to put that up. Roscoe Grant and Fred Hill, and for those of you looking to get more information, you can go to thekellywrightshow.com and we'll have that information available for you. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing what you're doing out there
Thank
to
you.
help all
Appreciate
of us
it.
grow. All right. Howard University received a major historic gift. We're going to tell you all about it after the break. Welcome back. This is a great story to talk about. Howard University is one of the most preeminent HBCUs in the country, without a doubt. And recently, Howard received a $10 million gift, the largest single donation the school has ever received, to focus on STEM. And Vice President of Development David Bennett is here to tell us more about it and how Howard will put this to good use. David, thanks for joining us on the Kelly Wright Show.
Good morning, Kelly. Thanks for having us, and congratulations on the great successes you're having already on the program.
Thank you so much. My team will love to hear that coming from you, from the esteemed Howard University. Let's talk about this $10 million donation for STEM. That's incredible.
It's an incredibly generous gift and speaks to both the good news and bad news. So we look at our HBCUs have just 3% of African American undergraduates enrolled in them, but generate almost 30% of the engineers. Howard University alone sends more African American undergraduates to medical school than any other school in the country. And so when we look at the need to address the pipeline of talented young black scientists and scholars, it's a very large need. But our program, the CAR STEM Scholars Program, is showing results and are taking young, often from very limited economic means, black students who want at 18 years old to have a PhD and an MD in STEM. These kids are geniuses, they're really good kids, and they're overwhelmingly come from economically tough circumstances. So the Karsh Family Foundation said, how do we help some of those kids? And that's what the funding is for, scholarships for those students.
That excites me. I mean, as you're talking, I'm getting chills because I'm looking into the lifestyles or the environments that those kids are coming from, and they're now enabled, because of this gift and because of the tutelage of Howard University and their families, they're able to strive for excellence.
In excellence in a field that they may at other schools have been told weren't programs they could be excellent in. These are going to be civil engineers and rocket scientists and mathematicians and computing geniuses who are going to go out and change the world and also be able to generate some economic capital for themselves and their families to lift others as they rise.
That's amazing. Tell me, break down STEM for me, because some people may not understand what STEM is an acronym for.
Sure. So for us, it's science, technology, engineering, and math, or medicine you could put in there as well.
Yeah, you could.
But it really is the hard sciences that are scaling up all around us, that we see the impact of computer science and computer engineering to new medical technologies, to just understanding the basic science of things like climate and how they affect our community are hugely important. And for all host of historical reasons, black people have been underrepresented and blocked from access to those fields.
Why is that?
So I think it's a combination of things. First is they can be expensive. To take a PhD and an MD can be a 10-year educational process. And when you have a student who's coming from a Pell Grant eligible background, a very low economic unit, to say to her, it's going to be 10 years before you stop writing checks and making a check can be hard if you've got siblings at home and parents to take care of. But it's also the fact that the professions haven't been open to people of color because it's been led by, in most schools, old white folks.
And to that point, there are some institutions that have prejudiced themselves against young black students who have the gift to do this, but then they have this, I don't want to call it institutional racism, but there's an institutional inherent bias sometimes that enters into the academic picture. Howard University breaks that down.
And we do, and to others in the HBCU sector, but we know from the data that a young black woman at 18 years old, two similarly situated women, one goes to a predominantly white institution, one goes to a STEM to a HBCU with the dream of getting a STEM PhD. She's 34% more likely to actually continue to do that after she graduates from the HBCU, because her professors at the white school may never have had a talented 18-year-old black chemist in their class. They may not have a culture where she's able to push back on an answer the same way that her white male counterpart would. And so I think you're right that there is simply a structural pattern that's existed for decades. in schools. So for Howard and the HBCU sector, we think not only is it mission related, but as these students go out and change institutions and change companies, imagine how many students of color they'll bring along with them. When they're at the interview table and the selection committee table in 10 years, it'll change the face of industry.
Well, David, thanks for bringing that good news to us about Howard University receiving a $10 million gift, the largest gift of its kind, and it's going where it's needed to STEM. And before I let you go, the mission of Howard University is what?
The mission is to change the world and to empower the smartest young women and men of color and their faculty and their staff to help us create a more just and equitable world.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
All right. Coming back with more after this. Stay with us. Welcome back. Got a question for you. How's your life going right now? Are you so busy that you don't have time for family and friends? You're just too busy on that grind? How important is it to incorporate a daily schedule of having a vibrant lifestyle? Our next guest is here to explain why that is so important. Dr. Colleen Hawthorne has written a book to help us learn how to live a healthy, happy, vibrant life in today's glamorized grind. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Hawthorne.
Absolutely. It's my honor to be with you, Mr.
Well, we are indeed honored to have you as well. It's a very humbling experience to have someone come in and talk to us about how we can improve our lives. So I'm going to start as your humble servant. You tell me how I can get to that glamorized grind.
Well, the first thing is knowing that we were created by divine design to have vibrant, what I call and have termed vibrant life success. So what does that mean? That means having vibrancy in our work, life, and play. So awareness, it all starts with awareness. And so when we know and we're very clear, that is how we are designed to live, that's the first thing. And because we're designed to live that way, that means there's steps and solutions already in that divine blueprint. But are we following them? Once we start to, it makes more sense. But the first is knowing that's the blueprint. That is the divine blueprint.
Now, you just unpacked a lot right there. Because if we wake up in the morning and realize that we are fearfully and wonderfully made and designed for a vibrant life, you're telling me that helps us get out there to have a truly glamorized lifestyle, no matter what comes our way. But don't we get too busy sometimes and we forget about going back to the blueprint?
Yes, that's the thing. And as you mentioned, glamorized grind, that's what I say, you know, that's a myth. We were not created to work that way. And when you do it long term, it decreases your health, your wellness, you know, emotionally, physically, mentally, and our longevity. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Because of the
that
stress
will
and
happen.
anxiety.
Correct.
Is that right?
Absolutely. That is not the design. Now, we are designed to handle stress and anxiety and all of that, but in a short term, right? We have certain chemicals and cortisol and adrenaline and all of those that turn on to get us through very stressful times. So we can do that, but are we supposed to be doing that all the time? Absolutely not. That system's not designed to be on all the time. We're not designed to be switched on all the time. And so when we look at the things that we're hearing about health problems and emotional and mental health problems, this is where it's coming from. And as we have these unprecedented stressors in life now and uncharted territory, we're seeing, you know, we may be keeping people alive longer, but we're less healthy. And when we look at mental health, that part of the physical health, right, dealing with our brains and minds, we're seeing when suicide becomes the 10th leading cause of death,
That's
Mr.
a
Wright,
problem.
that's a problem.
Yeah.
So that is because we're away from this actual blueprint that we are designed to live.
Wow. And suicide is an alarming statistic out there. And the mental health issues that we have. And a lot of times we don't want to seek the help that we need.
Yes.
And we find it so difficult to turn off the switch of being on that grind.
Yes.
Just so we take a moment out to walk,
Absolutely.
to have a pleasant conversation or sometimes just to be still.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, Mr. Wright, it's all
Kelly, please.
Kelly, okay. You know I'm a physician, right? And
All right, doctor.
no. So, and I'm from the Caribbean, so it's part of my DNA. So I have to really work at saying the first names. But absolutely, it's the design now. Not only it's on a cellular level, right? So when you say it sounds simple, have a pleasant discussion, it's not that simple.
It's not.
It's very powerful. Here's why. On a cellular level, on a biological, physical level, that's increasing our dopamine. You came into the room earlier, right? And I saw you, and you played a little tape. I think it's part of your motivational.
Hope in the morning.
Hope in the morning.
Let's give you some
on
hope.
Facebook. And literally, I became uplifted. That's just not hocus
Oh,
pocus.
thank you.
Literally, your dopamine level goes up. That's our body's natural upper, happy, you know? And so those things are very real. When we exercise, it's not just, oh, that sounds good, that's what we're saying now, it's fashionable. That is the divine blueprint, because your chemicals in your brain, neurotransmitters that control mood and sleep and relaxation, start to increase. So it's all on a very cellular level.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Dr. Hawthorne, you got to do me a favor. You have to come back.
Oh.
Because you're good for infusing some positivity up in here, up in here.
And that's all part of vibrancy. We are created to be light, and when we spread light, things
Come on
increase.
now.
I would love to.
You're preaching
I
to the
would
choir, but the
absolutely
whole
love
world needs to hear it.
Absolutely.
All right, Dr. Colleen Hawthorne, make sure you check her out. She's going to come back on the show again and again as many times to give us some of that positive infusion that we need so desperately in our society.
Be honored.
All right. Coming back with a lot more after this. Stay with us. Thank you. Our next guest is a tech entrepreneur who's using his awesome skills to give back to the community. Christian Benjamin joins us now to explain how he's using his gifts to give back to others. Christian, welcome.
It's a pleasure, thank you.
So you and I have met through social technology or social media, and you are the man when it comes to that.
Thank you.
But you are utilizing this gift to reach out to the world for good. Explain to me how you're doing that.
So 2 weeks ago was my birthday. I turned
Happy
38 years
birthday.
old on February 10th, right? And so, like you said, I'm an entrepreneur. I run a couple businesses. I work in the digital space. I have a decent social media following. But I grew up in this community, in the DC area, always going back to shelters. My dad was a preacher. Always took.
When
we
you say
always were in
shelters,
jail.
you mean homeless
like
shelters?
homeless shelters.
Okay.
We were going to jails growing up, and that's always
Wow.
stuck with me. Whenever I travel around the country now, I'm always trying to go to youth facilities, youth shelters, and just showing them that there's someone that looks like them, that's doing something, that came from the same type of communities they came from, that's doing something, right? And we always say these kids, all they want to do is be athletes and entertainers.
Right.
But when they see someone that's working in a different space and they look like them and understand them, they want to be like you and they want to get out of whatever problem that they are in, right? So for my birthday, I decided I didn't want to do my own birthday party for myself. I didn't want to do that. I'm doing a birthday party celebrating the youth at the Covenant House. There's a homeless shelter for teens. So we're going to have a birthday party there and give them gifts.
And in giving them gifts, you're giving them the gift of inspiration and motivation that they can do better.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people helping out. What I did was I made an announcement using my social media platform. First and foremost, I wanted to thank you so much for all the birthday wishes from last week. It was a blessing and it's an honor to live another year. But I got something really important. Look, I'm having my birthday party at the Covenant House on February 29th. And like I said in my last post, I really, really need your help. Because what we're going to do, we're going to take the needs and the wants of 10 males and 10 girls and 5 little ones that are currently living at the Covenant House in DC, which is a homeless shelter for teens and youth that's been trafficked, that's had abuse at home, that are just trying to make it. And we're going to have a party for them. I don't need anything. I've partied enough in my life to live 10 lifetimes. We're going to go up there, have a DJ. We're going to have food, music, just a lot of cool things to support them and let them know they matter outside of just Thanksgiving and Christmas. These kids are out here struggling the rest of the year too. So we're going to go up there and do something for them. I'm partnering up with a group called the Hearts of Empowerment. We're going to go buy these gifts next week. I have links to donate, support, whether you put 50 cents in or $50, no matter what it is, every dollar is going to help support and buy a gift for one of these young people so they can open up something and feel amazing. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. Email me, DM me, comment. Whatever you can do is worthy. Thank you so much. Let's continue to change the world. It's 2020. Let's stop talking and actually have some action behind our words. Love each and every one of you, and let's be great.
Tell me about that. I want to get back to helping these teenagers. Yeah. But you do utilize your social media to motivate people in a positive way to do great things.
Yeah. Everything comes back to me feeling like what I wished I had when I was feeling down. And I know a lot of people, Monday motivation, for example, a lot of people were taught, get up Monday, it sucks, you can't wait till Friday. And I used to be like, man, who wants to live like that? Most of your life is spent waiting for the weekend. So I started sending out emails to my friends every Monday with just a thought, like a Monday thought, something I heard or spoke to somebody about that kind of could uplift them. And then one day I met some people out at a speaking engagement or something, and they were like, we follow your email list. I thought they wanted to speak to me for business, but it turned out I gathered hundreds at that time. It was turning into thousands of newsletter subscribers to my Monday motivational emails. So ever since then, I just kept it going and created a book out of it, which is coming out towards the end of this year.
And the name of the book is?
Monday Motivation.
Monday Motivation. Now let's get back to those teens that you've been helping.
Right.
Because a lot of people are coming in to join you on that. And as a result of that, what's the bottom line for those teens who are receiving not only your motivation, but your inspiration and giving them your love and your time? Not to give them a handout, but to give them a hand up.
Yeah, so what I did was I visited the shelter a couple days ago. I'm working with a group called Hearts of Empowerment. They help nonprofits fundraise, and they teamed up with me. We visited the kids, hung out with them for a little while. These are young people between the age of 17, 18, 19, 20, kind of the forgotten age. Yeah. And a lot of people we want to help what we call the underprivileged during Thanksgiving and Christmas. They're around the rest of the year, right? So we went there, asked them for the top 5 wish list things that they need that could cost $50 or less. We took a list of those, and then I started reaching out to my digital community, to my friends, to my family, to support by donating $50, $30, whatever, $1, whatever you could donate to support that could help us put on this party for them that's going to happen on the 29th.
Awesome. I want to help out with that as well.
Thank you.
Donate to it.
Thank
but
you.
more importantly, how can others out there watching this get on the same bandwagon and do the same thing?
Yeah. I would say you can just do it, right? I've been thinking about this for a few years, but this year something really hit me. I was convicted that why keep waiting, right? So I just decided to do it. I looked at a shelter that I wanted to support, reached out to them and gathered the help. But now I feel like it's turning into a thing. So I would welcome anyone who wanted to contact me and do it on their own birthday or just randomly and support the shelters or communities or whatever they feel they want to support under, on their own special day. Yeah. I think this could turn into a thing.
All right. You heard it. It can turn into a thing. You can do the right thing by getting out there to help others in your community. Follow the lead of Christian Benjamin and other young men and women like yourself. You're inspiring me as well.
Thank
so
you.
For my birthday, I might have to do something special.
Let's do it together.
Let's do it together. I like that. Let's do it together. Let's help out some more young people throughout this world. So let those people know that they're loved and that they're cared for.
Absolutely.
So Christian, how can we contact you so we can join in this effort?
You can follow me on social media, Christian Benjamin, or go to my website, christianbenjamin.com. The donation details are there, and there's going to be more videos and updates, and probably a lot of thank yous from the young people that we're supporting as well.
Well, man, I thank you so much. You're a young person doing some great things that can teach all of us. And all of you watching out there, keep on keeping on doing the great things that you're doing. Let us know about it on the Kelly Wright Show, because we want to focus on the positive things that you're doing, not the negative. Yeah, the negative happens, but I believe in the power of good news in a bad news world. It's always good to do something good, and it's always right to do something right at the right time, which is all the time. So we hope out of that you have been ignited and righted with tonight's program. We leave you now with music from Eddie Bacchus Jr., a saxophonist who recently performed during a U.S. Department of Energy Black History Month program here in D.C. Keep spreading some love, freedom, and peace out there. Peace out.